Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and it seems that there's one feature that breaks the plier from a lineman family into a combo or multi-plier family, and it has to do with just that little bit there. But it doesn't matter what else you do to the plier, and that's what I kind of find interesting, the topic of this video. And what got me thinking about it was this pair of USA-made Milwaukee Tool Lineman pliers. And how can these be a lineman if they've got this giant, huge cross-hatched front end? They've got these sharp edges for reaming. They've got the big side cutters. They've got the bolt cutters down here. They've got a fish tape grabber right here. They've got both insulated and non-insulated crimping here, as well as, what you can do with that. Nutcracker's pretty good. And it's tether ready, of course. So how can this be a lineman, but this is not a lineman, or this is no longer a lineman? Now here's a set of Knipex. This is like a Knipex lineman right here. Why? Well, it's got kind of the reaming features. Every one of these is a hammer. It's got some big cutting knives. It's got the front end, crosshatch jaws. You can grab a fish tape, roll it around in here. It is not necessarily designed for that, but it certainly works. And then it's got another set of biting jaws down here. But you go to this one, very similar, except smaller, and this becomes a combination plier. Why? Because it's got that bolt grabbing part. That seems to be the one feature that really separates these things. And then the little one here. Now these are just ideal. I love these smaller sized combo or multi-pliers. This was one I got, shows up every once in a while, probably, in high school for like $1.99 or something. It's made in, as you can see, as I always show you, Korea. It's just a great simple set of pliers. Wilmar, they used to be super cheap tools, but this would be a lineman, right? Because it doesn't have any deliberate bolt grabbing, or hex grabbing on the front end. So, lineman, seems like it. These, definitely linemans, right? Even though it's got a crimper here, really harsh edges. This is when they first started making tools, non-USA made. I always considered this kind of a lineman, but this is more of a fencing tool. It was my grandfather's, pretty old, and definitely has that lineman look. Now, I think this came from the Klein, early Klein pliers. Klein's known as, or lineman's known as Klein's, because it was ubiquitous. It was the one. But still, even here with the Klein's, you've got limited stuff. This is definitely a lineman tool. This one is not a lineman tool. This is a spring-loaded. It's more for wire tying. If you're doing rebar work, things like that. It's got a spring in there. Usually you'd want some sort of a retention, or tether point, but it looks awfully lineman-esque. It's basically just got the cutting knives and the grabbing jaws. Doesn't have anything else, except, of course, reamers, but I made a video that anything can be a reamer. But that's not a lineman? I don't know. But then you go over to Snap-on here, and what does that say? The Lineman, Snap-on Tools. The Lineman. These are still made. This is the 57 AHLP and the 59 AHLP for probably 7 inches and 9 inches. USA made. They thought these were linemans. They called them linemans. They look like linemans. They behave and act like linemans. They walk like linemans. But they no longer are branded the Lineman. I'm not sure why, but they are listed under lineman pliers in the Snap-on catalog, along with slip joint pliers and kind of multi-use needle nose pliers. So I'm not sure. Is lineman an old term maybe now? Are we too elaborate in our plier designs to maintain something like that? I don't know. That's kind of the question I'm throwing out. But then I'll leave it with this. So here is a Klein hybrid plier, very lineman-esque on the front end. It's got some nice cutting jaws. It's got bolt cutting, but remember, this is a lineman here. It's got bolt cutting. No fish tape pulling, but it does have the ability for using crimpers, both insulated and non-insulated. Tosses in a few stripping holes right up there. You know, it's still pretty beefy. You can see the front end there. I could compare it to, compare it to these snap-on Linemans. You can see that. Can I ream with them? Sure, anything can be a reamer. However, since there's no bolt grabbing on these, this must be a Lineman. Is that true? Or does it even matter? I like what I thought were Lineman pliers. They're just super handy. It's like a, an Iron Man, comic book extension of what the hand is capable of. Super powerful, grabbing, holding, twisting, bending. I mean, that's just a monster plier. I mean, you get much bigger than that and, well, you run into other problems. It's too heavy or too bulky or you can't open it. So this seems to be about, the 9-inch Lineman seems to be about the ultimate in heavy-duty handing of something. After that, you're going to need two hands or you're going to need a different kind of machine. But what's a Lineman? And I'm not sure anymore. This is a Lineman, but this might be a Lineman with stripping capabilities. This is a Lineman they don't call a Lineman anymore. This is a Lineman, but it's not a Lineman. It's something else. This is definitely a Lineman, but it's got every feature you could stuff into one of these, plus a couple others. It looks like there's some reaming going on, reaming capabilities in here. It's definitely machined. This is kind of a neat tool. They're not cheap. They're about $54 to get into the Milwaukee with all these features. Super smooth, by the way. Kind of nice out of the package. Great feel in the hand. This is the MT500C. They make it with a couple of different grips. But I really like this. Pick it up, play with it, and think this does an awful lot. But is it a Lineman? They say it is. To me, similar, smaller Lineman. I don't know. Original Lineman? Extra crispy? I don't know. Curious what your thoughts are. Some of this seems to be old school names for things, kind of like we get into side cutters and diagonal cutters and dikes, and dike should be diagonal, but you can have a diagonal side cutter, so is it a dike side cutter? I don't know. I'm just curious what you think in terms of naming, and if a feature can make or break a category of plier, family of plier. Let me know. And with that, Doc out.